Welcome to another CBI episode. This one is for episodes 17 and 18. The CBI series is a special unlisted video series. You can only get to them by clicking the link in the respective videos. But I go into more detail, or I don't think I go into much detail at all in the main series, but about command blocks that were used in the episode. So, for example, in 17 and 18, I had this cool little thing where if you throw some ice into some water... Here, let's see if we can do it again. Oh, that's really handy. I thought I was going to have to put another bucket down. But when you throw the ice, it this special endothermic ice, you can turn regular water as long as it's a... I think it has to be a source block. Not 100% sure, but I think it has to be a source block. And then it just turns into this awesome ice, and that's how I used it, or that's what I used to build the walls of the Guardian farm thingy, and it came out looking really cool. So the first part of it, cave sound, what is this? Custom recipes. I may add more in the future, but currently there's only one. So, I don't have any supplies. This is a backup world, so it's okay. I'll just snitch some from back here. So this is the there is so much junk in my inventory. Okay. Whoop. Let's see if I can make it out. Okay. So you stand on this pressure plate and you just put in the recipe here, which you just saw, and it makes endothermic ice. Like I said, this is a backup, so it doesn't matter if I cheat. Normally you would collect it, and yeah. So it's a really simple setup. All it is a comparator clock. So that's the block that has the pressure plate above it. There's a full block there. Comparator on subtract mode. You just right click it to get it there, and then it's 3 redstone around it, and then you make sure it's at least 3 redstone away. This is for any other recipes that I add in the future. And then this command block tests to make sure that this is the same as this, which is where you put in the recipe. So if I put it in here, I'd have to be standing on the pressure plate, but you get the picture. And if they are the same, then this command, or this comparator, turns true and runs this. Okay, I have lore on it, that's why it's such a long one, but basically it just edits the block data of this block. Oh, actually, you know what? Here, you can see the command quite a bit better. So the command starts here. So it does block data of this block over here. That's what those coordinates specify. And it changes the items tag of the dropper, which is the contained items in it. I mean, that's probably pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, so you have to include this 0 colon thingy, because otherwise it doesn't, it just likes you to include it basically, and it just stands for the first thingy. So normally that would be slot 0, so like the first slot, but I specify slot 4 in here, so it doesn't really matter. It's kind of derpy. Anyways, so then you just have ID packed ice. It's pretty basic. Count 1. Make sure that you have a count of something, otherwise there's not going to be anything in there. Slot 4 is the middle slot. It goes 0. If this was the dropper, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because computers start counting at 0 because they are not very smart. No. Okay, so then this tag is where the fancy stuff happens. You just do tag colon, and then you have a set of compound braces here, just curly braces. And then you do this display tag, and you can specify the name, which in this case is Endothermic Ice. And then the lore is just a special kind of ice that absorbs, and you can do all that stuff. Commas will put it down to a new line, unless the comma is inside quotations. Then it will actually put the actual quotation. So like, see on the second line at the end where it says creating freezing temperatures around it, that's or no, the first one, a special kind of ice that absorbs heat. That comma is inside the quotation, so that's why it displays. Otherwise, if you put a comma, it will just start a new line like those other two. So that's how the endothermic ice is created. To actually use it, you need this place is getting crazy. Okay. This is just basic your average everyday fill clock. It's a replace fill clock, so that if I were to go here and here, if I do off, it turns it off. So like now if I were to throw ice, endothermic ice into water, nothing would happen. And just in case it's like creating lag or something, I find it's useful to be able to turn clocks off. So I make all my clocks like that, because you want to be able to turn it off if at all possible. It helps test things too. Anyways, so let's figure out. Alright, so command blocks like to start on the negative and go to the positive, and then they go in the X, Y, and Z direction. So if that red axis is X, that's negative and that's positive. So it starts with this one and then goes to there. However, because there's two blocks, see there's a redstone block here and a redstone block here, it actually triggers this one first, because on the Z, it's kind of confusing. Suffice it to say that this is the first command block that runs, and that's the last one. It's like a whole separate tutorial just to explain how the command block operations. If you want to figure it out for yourself, just get like 5 or 6 command blocks all like right next to a redstone block, or an area where you would place one, and then just place one and see what, like if it's like say 1, say 2, say 3, or whatever. Anyways, okay. So the first one, it sets any player that is an item, it sets their ET ice score, which is just endothermic ice, to be 1, as long as their data tag matches item, Minecraft, packed ice, display name, endothermic ice, and it has to be on the ground. This is actually really important, because otherwise if you would toss it into water, as soon as it would hit the water, it would just be like bloop, and the top would get immediately frozen, but nothing else would. So in the episode, I would throw it and it would go all the way down to the bottom before freezing. So that's a really important tag, and you have to make sure to format everything correctly. That's why there's a B after it, because it's like a byte tag, and quotations because it's a string tag. I kind of cheated with this the ID tag. For whatever reason, it doesn't need quotations, but normally when you're matching data tags, you have to do all the regular stuff. Okay, so if it's found a piece of endothermic ice that is on the ocean floor, and therefore, or actually on the, yeah, I think it has to be, does it have to be in the water? No. Okay, so it just has to be on the ground. Oh, that's what this is for. Okay. It's been a while. So it lost my train of thought. Okay. So if it is on the floor, then it tests enunciate. It detects, that's easier to say, if there's water basically in the same block that it's in. So if there was a piece of endothermic ice right there, it's checking to make sure. Okay, I'm not sure if this will work, but yeah, it checks to make sure that the block that was right there was this is annoying, was water. If it is, then it plays sounds random.fizz, which is just that fizzle sound that you heard before. So just if you want to hear it again. Yeah, so it just plays that sound. It's a little bit quieter than normal, and 0.4 is the max volume or the min volume. One of the two. Either way, it makes it a little bit quieter, because otherwise it's like sorry, that might have been kind of loud. But that's why you turn it down. So the 0.1 is the pitch of it, and that makes it, because normally the fizz sound comes from like when you're extinguishing fire. So just to make it sound a little bit different, I changed the pitch, because normally the pitch would be set to 1 by default. Anyway, so and you have to make sure that it's an execute command, so that way the sound is played at that at like the endothermic ice, so it plays the sound right there. So if I were like over 16 blocks away or whatever the limit is, I wouldn't hear the sound, but if I'm closer I would kind of hear it, and if I'm like right on top of it, I can hear it completely well. So that's what that does. Next is this command block. This is basically just special effects right here. It's the same deal, it's just detecting, you know, is there an item, does it have this, is it on the ground, so does it have a score of ET ice minimum of 1. It detects if there's water, so this, most of this stuff doesn't run if it's not in water, which is how I wanted it. And then it does a particle cloud effect, so I'll show you that. You see, yeah, you see the clouds kind of popping up. Yeah. So and that just plays the effect. Plays it 1 block above, and then these like 3 are like the DX, DY, and DZ from it. So just to make it in a little bit larger box area. The 0 is something important, I'm sure. I don't even remember. Particle. By the way, if you need help trying to format like stuff, just type in the command, as long as it isn't /clear. So anyways, let's see, /particle name XYZ. Oh, speed. No. Yes. Yeah, okay. So 0 is the speed, so that's just so it goes really slow, and then 10 is the count. That's how many of the particles show up. So after we've gotten the sound is played and the particles have shown, we want it to actually do something, right? So this is where the practical stuff happens. So if it has the score of ET1, so then it's on the ground, then it's going to fill an area around it with ice, and it replaces water. So technically, if I were to throw this on the ground, that has a score of ET ice equal to 1, but because there's no water, it doesn't do anything. It just sits there. And then this last command, basically, if that little endothermic ice is inside ice, so that detect, and it's the exact same coordinates. So if it detects that it's inside ice, which with a data value of 0, then it kills off that endothermic ice, and then count equals 1 is just so it doesn't kill every last living thing everywhere. That's how it works. It's pretty simple, really. Just, I mean, because like half the commands are special effects, and you don't technically need those, right? So that's pretty cool. Now for this thing. This thing is kind of crazy. So let's see, are there any mobs around by any chance? Found some. So this thing is crazy. When you right click it, all of a sudden you enter the space-time continuum, whereas, or you exit it anyways. Everything else is stuck. I think it might have just glitched. No, never mind. So yeah, these guys are frozen, and if I were in survival mode, it would be giving me a world of hurt right now. Yeah, I think I have a bunch of armor on, so it's not going to do a whole lot of damage. But over time, it would like take away hunger and health and stuff. Seems like it's going slower than normal. Anyways. Yeah, it's like the sound's cutting out. Oh, it's because of all the villagers. So in Minecraft, this is actually an interesting little thing. In Minecraft, when there's a ton of sounds, it will actually cut out, like if you have 45 sounds playing at once, I think it is, or 48, it will make any other sound that was playing stop. And it's just kind of a thing, but it's useful if you need like a music stop or a music start function. Anyways, random little things. So these mobs they're all frozen. They can't do anything. I mean, you could still trade with them, I guess. But if like they were monsters, you know, they wouldn't be able to do anything. So that's pretty sweet. And then as soon as you press this, it loses it forever. That's not supposed to happen. And I'm about to die too. It should have stopped because it took the item. Anyways. It's a little bit hacky. Not hacky, but like I don't know how to describe it. Not exactly your normal usage of stuff. Alright, I'm gonna turn it off manually. As you can tell, this is something I whipped up and like it was just like I had this really great idea and I just kinda went with it. Is this, see, this is why you have, I'm pretty sure it's that. Yeah. The particles are still going. Oh, let's see. I believe this is the one that gets destroyed. And these probably get cleared. Normally, yeah, normally that works. I'm not 100% sure why I didn't. But, so, this is why you have clocks that you can destroy. Because otherwise, if something goes wrong, you want to make sure you can fix it. Okay. I think this has some other separate things on it. No? Okay, this thing is quite a bit more complicated though, so put your thinking cap on or something, because alright. This is advanced. This is the advanced section of this episode. Alrighty. So based on the order of operations, this one goes first. So it tests for any player who has basically has that time watch in their hand. And let me see if I can give myself back at one of these. I'll explain what these do in a little bit, but I just want to get the item back because I don't think I gave it long enough to. Did I miss it? There's one of them that's like give the player something. Might have missed it. Or maybe it was over here. It's been a while. Test for, it's armor stand. Test for, where's these crazy give commands? Here we go. This is an active one, but here. Let's get Uno command block, paste that in, and where's a button? Here's a button. Good thing this is a backup. Okay. Full inventory, click it again. Here we go. Okie doke. So, this isn't running, right? Okay. So, normally, this would be actually a, it would not be active. This is the active version. And you notice if I right click it right now, nothing happens. It just like jumps around or whatever it's doing. So you have to add in right click functionality. That's what this does. So let's say if you have a time watch that's active, like I do right now, even though it's not running, then it will execute at me, and it summons an armor stand directly next to me, and its custom name is right click. Its custom name is not visible. It's invisible, like the whole armor stand, and it has no gravity. Show arms is true. That's so that I can put something in its hand slot, and invulnerable is true, so I can't accidentally kill it. So now when this is false, or when this is true, this torch turns off. But then when it goes back to being false, then it kills off the armor stand that's a right click. So basically, like if it was running right now, I would not, and I'm selected on this button, it would not be summoning an armor stand. But as soon as I select this time watch, this active time watch, it summons an armor stand near me. And then when I go away from it, it kills it off. So next in the order of operations would be this one. And this just teleports right click to me, but up one. So basically his knees are kicking my eyeballs. So as long as I have this selected, it's teleporting it to me, so there's like this invisible armor stand following me around everywhere I go. Then it gets to this command, which basically tests for if the armor stand is holding the item. So if the armor stand is holding the item, what has happened is I've right-clicked on the armor stand, giving him the time watch, right? And so now he holds it and I don't have it. So that's basically how right-click detection works, is when you right-click the item into them, it is true. So, oh, yeah, here we go. So there's a comparator, and if you put a block in between a comparator and a command block like this, it still works, and it's great for doing like you can have one that's right next to it and then one that's not right next to it, so you can alternate them without like triggering each other. So if I gave it the active time watch, then it fills wherever these coordinates are with the redstone blocks, which, let's see, -1 and 5. Whoops. -1 and 3. Oh, okay. So it puts redstone blocks all inside of there, which makes all this crazy stuff happen. So let's see. It kills off the right-click thing because it doesn't need it anymore. It fills all of this with air. Oh, this one goes first. This. Oh, this is what I was looking for. Oh, I must have looked straight at that. So stupid. I am such a person of something. Okay. So this is the regular one. This is what I was looking for originally. So it gives you the regular time watch, because remember that other one was testing if it had the active time watch in your slot. And the regular time watch is the other two, I believe. It works the exact same way. It just tests for if you have a time watch, and then it does some stuff and that. Okay. Anyway, back to what we were. So the active time watch happens. So we've given the active time watch to the armor stand. The armor stand has died because this killed it, and we have just been given back this time watch. Now it sets every single entity to have a no AI value of 0. So I'm kind of explaining this in the backwards order here. I must have done this backwards, but the order that is. Basically, when it's active, all of the entities have a no AI value of 1, and so this is fixing it. It's putting them all back to 0, so that's normal. It turns daylight cycle to be true, so it's kind of like starting up time again. Game rule random tick speed 3. That's another thing. It's kind of a hidden feature, but if you were to try and grow wheat or something, it wouldn't grow unless you use like bone meal on it or something. Then this plays, which is that kind of boom sound, and then this puts air here. This is the interesting stuff, and I'll get to it in a little bit. Okay, so that's all that happens when you get the regular time watch back. So when you have the regular time watch, let's see which one is the starting one. I believe it's this one. Yeah, okay. Man, I did this backwards. It doesn't really matter in this case as much, but it makes reading off the commands easier. Anyways. Okay, so it's same deal. Test for if you have it in your slot. If you have it in your slot, summons the armor stand. If as soon as you go away from it, it kills the armor stand. And then it tests for if the armor stand has the regular time watch. So time watch, and notice there's no active thing. If it has the regular time watch, so then we've right-clicked on the armor stand and given him the time watch, then it fills this area over here with redstone blocks. Now there's a few things that happen over here. It's kind of crazy. It's all hacked up basically. You'll notice there's like there's like one clock coming up this way, yeah, okay, it's crazy. We'll start with this one, I guess. I think that's the one that goes first, right? Yeah. No. This is the one that goes first. This... oh boy. It's kind of crazy. So, this is the thing that gives me the active time watch. So, after I've right-clicked on the armor stand and given it, my slot's empty, right? So, as soon as it gives me the item, it will go to that spot. So then we get the active time watch. And just for displaying purposes. Whoops. There. So it gives me the active time watch. And then... actually, this one is executed first, but whatever. So it kills the armor stand from... that was summoned to check if it was... So then we get the time watch, and then over here, this thing is constantly running because there's a redstone block where I'm standing. So it's a basic comparator clock, and these things get triggered. So we get a slowness effect because we've just exited the time stream, but we haven't exited completely. So we're a little slow. We can't move as fast as normal. And then we get this mining fatigue effect. So we can't just do anything that you could just do normally. You get really like it's almost as long as to break glass. It's almost as long as breaking obsidian normally, or shorter, I think. But it's pretty long, but not so long that you can't. So it's enhancing that you're slow effect. And then this just constantly does those little gray particles that you saw. It's a basic particle command, same deal, you know. One above, so that makes sure that it plays at your head level, and these are the directional thingies, 0 speed, and there's 50 of them. I found that seemed to work pretty well. So after all this stuff has happened, this one is next. So this is what I was talking about before. Every single entity gets set to no AI. Now it has no effect on the player, so it's totally fine. If you wanted to like make like 100% sure or something, you could do type equals not player, but it doesn't matter. So that sets every single entity to be frozen. Now because I hacked this up so quick, there's if any entity were to spawn, they would they would be able to move within the time stream or whatever. So that's one thing. This command should really be on a clock, but I just set it up so when that thing places the redstone blocks here, this gets triggered only once. This one sets the daylight cycle to be false, so time does not pass as far as sun and moon cycles. This sets the random tick speed to 0, because with random tick speed, things like grass spreading, crops growing, all that kind of stuff, that doesn't happen when it's at 0. Default is 3, by the way. That's why wherever it is, this one, nope, this one. That's why that's 3. That's the game default. And then this just does that same sound, and that's the thing that plays the boom sound every so often. Or it just plays at once, actually. I think there's actually a different sound that's getting played every so often. This is just the starting sound. Anyway, so then this is another clock. It's a really slow clock. It's a comparator clock with a bunch of repeaters attached to it, basically. So when this is running, it will give me the poison effect, which over time will start damaging me as my saturation levels go down. This is what plays the sound over and over again. Oh yeah, it's at a different pitch here, I believe. Yeah, this is max volume. 0.5 is the pitch, actually. 0.1 is the minimum volume. Or maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, yeah, this pitch is at 1. So it's a slightly different sound. And then this gives me a hunger effect. And that's really all there is to it. All there is to it. It's pretty complicated. And I'm sure it could be done better. I don't know. Let's turn it on again. Alright. I'm going to see if it works this time. Actually, I need the other one, don't I? Which one was that? Okay. That's the one thing. If you have the active one, you can automatically make it do that. Okay. So there's no armor stand. If I were to right click with this button, nothing is happening. Now, immediately after, if I were to, this is a backup, so it's okay. If I do it really fast, oh, whatever. I think it works more when it's going out of it. But sometimes you can lose your items if you switch to a different item and right click. So that's not ideal, of course. In fact, I think that happened in one of the recordings. Anyway, so yeah, we're all slow now, and you can see the particles are they're kind of centered around my upper body, my head area. And then as soon as we, it's best to be in survival mode when you do this. Alright. Well, now I would get the other one back. Ooh. Yeah. Now you can see the armor stand. Oh. Yeah, I should have been in survival mode when I tried this, because in creative mode you don't lose your items when you give them to armor stands and stuff. Yeah, so see, it gets teleported actually to the same like direction I'm looking at and stuff. It's kind of cool. Anyways. So that's the time watch. Really, probably the most interesting thing is the whole right-click deal, because that can be useful in many different areas. Not just this silly little time watch. So now if we right-click, yeah, it all ends. And see, we got this. Normally, we would have lost that. We would have got this if I was in survival mode, but here, I'll pop into survival mode one more time just to show you the whole effect. So you right click, and you saw it for a second, didn't you? Just watch kind of over in this area when I right click. You can kind of see it. It's not showing as much now, but yeah, so that's the whole concept. I hope you enjoyed, and I should be doing some more CBI stuff since you guys seemed interested in it. And that's it for this episode. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.